We have had crises before the Greek crisis, and most of them have been resolved. What makes the Greek crisis a particular case?
So we know very much about these kinds of crises that Greece is experiencing. We've had them for the last 100, 200 years. I would say the main underlying crisis that we have in Greece, but also in the Eurozone more generally, is a balance of payments crisis. And usually when you have these crises, what happens is that countries devalue their currency, they default on their debt, and then there's some austerity and there's also internal reforms, and it's kind of like a mix of these policy packages that then pull these countries out of crisis at some point. Greece is special in a few respects. It's not so special in terms of the size of the problem. There have been countries that had similar problems of a similar size and have actually managed to come out of crisis without the devaluation and without the restructuring of the debt, with much less popular opposition and political conflict that we've seen in Greece. But I think what's different in Greece is really the fact that Greece is a part of the Eurozone. And that changes the rules of the game. First of all, an exit, a devaluation is not really possible because it means an exit from the Eurozone, and that is extremely costly, also because it's very uncertain what would be happening. And it also means that that the restructuring of the debt is more difficult because there's a lot of interdependencies with the partners within Europe, also beyond, but especially because of the big interlinkages within Europe.
Do you see a future with Greece in the Eurozone?
So I think this will depend on two main things. For now, there's a strong popular support of the euro in Greece. We see about 70% of Greeks who are in favor of staying in the Eurozone. Even if you tell people that this means more years of austerity, even if you tell people or give people the option of sort of staying in the EU, but then leaving the euro while still staying in the EU, that's not popular. What people really want is to stay in the euro and in the EU. We've run surveys, and this is a very clear outcome. There's a very strong and actually striking strong support for staying in the euro. And I think this is something that is a great strength of Greece, that there is really sort of the increasing recognition something needs to be done if we want to stay in the euro, but we really do want to stay in the euro. And the second thing is that there's also a lot of support within Europe for Greece to stay, right? I mean, we've seen it even in July when this was a bit on the brink. The Commission and the European institutions in general are very much in favor of Greece staying in the euro. France is very much in favor of Greece staying in the euro, but even many of the other, even Germany, essentially want Greece to stay in the euro. But the question is a bit sort of at what cost, or how much are they willing sort of to tolerate for Greece to stay in the euro. And I think the big question will be, does the cost of euro exit change? Do the trade-offs change, right? Given what you have to give in order to stay in the euro, will support change in Greece and will support change within the eurozone? And that will decide on how viable it is. But for now, I think yes.